What strange item did you believe to be normal or acceptable, but turned out to be a medical issue? You'll say it. Chronic diarrhea. I just figured it was due to my diet or something and that everyone had it on a regular basis. Not every time, but frequent enough. Turns out I have celiac, ulcers, IBD, and bowel nerve damage. I was diagnosed with ADHD at 37. I didn't work it out until I was 35. I have been in a constant internal war for decades, and I thought it was all normal because I had no other perspective. After I was diagnosed, I went into proper detail about it with my wife, and she was shocked at what was happening under the surface. One day, while playing with my dogs, I believed I had torn a muscle. I eventually visit the hospital a week later since the agony is growing worse. It turns out that I had multiple pulmonary embolisms on my lungs and a 2-foot log clot in my leg due to a genetic blood clotting problem. The doctor was actually shocked that I survived. I thought my stomach problems, palpitating heart, meltdowns, just being nerdy, was due to stress. I found out at 55 I was autistic with inattentive ADHD. Back then I thought my acne was just a phase of teenage life. Well, it turned out to be a persistent skin condition which required medical treatment. Learning to take proper care of my skin has been a valuable lesson in self-care and building up my confidence. I'd say. I had a very slight cough that didn't go away, so I thought maybe I had a cold or something really minor like that. Turns out I have a rare disease where my trachea slowly closes up over time and never stops. Now I need regular steroid shots directly into my trachea, or surgery where they use a laser to cut out the scar tissue. Fun! That everyone's ears bleed or scab after wearing earrings. Turns out I have a nickel allergy. Asperger's, weirdness, insecurity, and a whole host of things that just defined me as weird. Normalization in the world is so hard to deal with, but there is science behind those of us who are considered different. Glasses. I am not nearsighted, farsighted, etc. But I get flashbanged even in low light because of my ocular rosacea, which I didn't find out I had until last year. I'm 23. At 32 I saw a good rheumatologist and found out that the crippling joint pain I have is pretty normal for someone in their 70s or 80s, but not in your 20s and 30s. I remember asking the doctor, doesn't everyone ache? And he's like, no, they don't. I thought it was normal to be able to bend my thumbs to lay flat against my forearms, to be able to bend my fingers backwards to be parallel with my hands, and have my knees bend backwards. Turns out I have hypermobility, and it explains so many things from my clumsiness and bruising really to having digestive issues, constant fatigue, and fainting episodes. Not really medical, but I discovered that my brain works differently than other people. I think more logically than most, but I have a hard time remembering things. Even with calculations, I have an easier time decomposing the calc than knowing it. 7x6 is harder to me than 7x3x2. It seems that many people can't do that kind of calc. They just know it's 42, while I just know it's 7x3 equals 21, 21, x2 equals 42. Poop knife. Asperger's, weirdness, insecurity, and a whole host of things that just defined me as weird. Normalization in the world is so hard to deal with, but there is science behind those of us who are considered different. Edit. More about what I consider to be normal, but whatever. I thought everyone had foot pain when walking uphill. In fact, I had acute tendonitis. I got customized inserts for my shoes, and the problem was significantly reduced. The day the doctor informed me that what I was feeling was not normal and in fact was chronic pain, and I had been living like that for 35 years. I mean, as a guy, I don't complain about aches and pains cause it's just a part of life. And besides, how was I supposed to know it wasn't normal to have back pain as far back as I can remember? I was a kid. I thought I had a chronic cough. Turns out, as I got sicker and sicker, that it was a horrible and rare infection caused by 2 underlying respiratory diseases. Sexually induced sneezing. Visual snow. Hearing better out of one ear than the other. Went to do the medical exam to enter the military and failed the hearing exam. Turned out I was missing a bone in my ear.